The heavy brass doors of the district court groaned as they were pulled shut, echoing through the silent, wood-paneled room. For decades, the name Harrison was synonymous with the steel industry, power, and untouchable wealth. But today, the Harrison legacy wasn't being celebrated, it was being torn apart. Arthur Harrison, the patriarch of the billion-dollar empire, had passed away 6 months ago, and ever since his children had been at each other's throats. But as the judge took her seat, no one in the room was prepared for the document that was about to be unsealed. Today, we step inside the trial of the century, where blood isn't thicker than water, it's thinner than a sheet of paper. Arthur Harrison was a self-made man who built his fortune from the ground up in the heart of Ohio. He was known for his iron will and his devotion to his 3 children, James, the eldest and heir apparent, Clara, the brilliant legal mind behind the company's expansion, and Benjamin, the youngest, a wild card who preferred the nightlife over the boardroom. On the surface, they were the perfect American family, but underneath the expensive suits and the charity galas, a storm of resentment had been brewing for years. The conflict began the moment the will was read. James expected to inherit the controlling shares of Harrison Steel. Clara expected the real estate holdings. Benjamin expected a trust fund that would last him a lifetime. Instead, the will stated that the majority of the estate was to be placed in a trust managed by a man named Elias Thorne, a man the children had never heard of. Elias claimed to be Arthur's illegitimate son from a secret marriage in the late 1970s. James's legal team was the first to strike. "Your Honor," James's lead counsel began, his voice echoing with authority. "This Elias Thorne is nothing more than a professional con artist. There is no record of this marriage, no record of his birth in the Harrison family files, and certainly no mention of him in Arthur Harrison's journals." Elias Thorne sat calmly at the defense table. He didn't look like a con artist. He had the same piercing gray eyes as Arthur Harrison, eyes that seemed to see right through people. His attorney, a sharp woman named Sarah Jenkins, stepped forward. "We aren't relying on journals, Your Honor. We are relying on the truth, a truth that Arthur Harrison spent 40 years trying to hide to protect his public image." As the trial progressed over the following weeks, the courtroom became a theater of the unexpected. Witnesses were called from across the country. A retired housekeeper testified about secret late-night visits Arthur made to a small house in the suburbs. An old banker revealed a series of offshore accounts that had been funding Elias's education and lifestyle for decades. The siblings watched in horror as their father's carefully constructed image crumbled before their eyes. The turning point came when a dusty leather-bound folder was brought into evidence. It was found in a hidden compartment of Arthur's private safe. Inside was a series of letters between Arthur and Elias's mother. These weren't just love letters, they were a confession. Arthur admitted that Elias was indeed his firstborn, but because of the social pressures and the need to marry into a wealthy family to save his fledgling business at the time, he had chosen to keep Elias a secret. But James wasn't ready to give up. He produced a document alleging that Elias's mother had signed off all rights to the Harrison name in exchange for $1 million payout in 1985. The courtroom held its breath as the judge examined the signature. If the document was real, Elias had no legal standing. The tension reached its breaking point during the cross-examination of the Harrison family lawyer. Under intense questioning, he admitted that the 1985 document had been altered after Arthur's death. The signature was a forgery, orchestrated by James himself to secure his position. The silence in the room was deafening. James Harrison, the golden boy, had committed a felony to win a fortune. In the end, the judge's gavel fell with a finality that shook the room. The will stood. Elias Thorne was legally recognized as a Harrison heir, and James Harrison was escorted for further investigation into the forgery. The Harrison empire would never be the same. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the legacy of a man who lived a double life and the son who finally came out of the shadows. What would you do if you found out your entire life was built on a secret? Does blood determine a family, or is it the choices we make? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining us in the Justice Journals. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most shocking legal battles. Until next time, the court is adjourned.